Evening guys, James here down in a very sunny Swanwick marina. This evening we're going to run out with you on a really exciting new listing to market. This one is the Manhattan 52, hugely popular model for us here at Sunseeker. This is a 2020 model. She's behind me here in the water. Welcome to Tart. Now, this boat is actually available here with the mooring. Owners are planning a bigger boat over in the Med in the not too distant future. And as such, this one here we are just going live online, ready to enjoy the best of the British summer here in the UK. Now, she's a two-owner boat from new, originally supplied by us to the Channel Islands, brought back here. Owners bought her from us as a stock boat in summer 2021, with the then original owner upgrading, and she's been with us here on site since. Prepped in early part of May this year, ready for the season, so she's been serviced, anti-foul, polished and what have you, washed down every 2 weeks by a local company, Global Marine, who you'll see out with us this evening on the video. And we're going to take her out and get some lovely drone shots with the glorious sunny evening we've got. So I'm just going to walk you around the exterior here so you can see the sort of condition she's kept in. Absolutely A1 this boat, bright white Sunseeker special rail white gel coat here. We've got the classic boot top stripe there, finished in the black, and those very striking glass windows running all the way from the bow here right down to the midships, full beam master cabin. They're obviously quite tall out of the water here, the 52s. Does give you huge volume, one of the biggest volume boats that we built to date in this size, and it was no wonder these went on to be the fastest and most successful selling boat that Sunseeker ever built. You'll see a few practical touches, things like the centre spring lines here and those handrails all the way along. We added for the owners these extra handrails here, a couple more here, and there's some around the back as well to make access onto the side decks really straightforward. But we've got this sort of floor to ceiling glass windows down the side, lets lots of natural light in downstairs. She was built originally as a stock boat, Med spec, so she's got things like the passerelle and the stern docking winches, lower level cleats on the back here and what have you. Underwater lights, we've got an upgraded 17.5 kilowatt generator, a Seakeeper gyro system. There is literally nothing to add to this boat whatsoever. Hydraulic high-low bathing platform on the back here, factory set for 300 kilos. Suggestion is to reduce that slightly given that she's carrying the weight of a gyro on board, but if you wish to, she will take something similar to the Williams you see on the boat alongside us. And then some custom changes in the back here. We have the illuminated name here. The owners are going to take the name with them, so we'll be removing that at completion, but there will of course be the power left there for the next owner. But before we go inside, I'm just going to show you here in the aft end the custom change we made to the crew cabin. So this was fitted out as a crew cabin, around £20,000 worth of factory option, and then we went one stage further with this one for these current owners, custom built a storage space. So we've maintained the sink and the storage units beneath. This was the factory option for the washer dryer, and then we added some storage in here, and then on the side here we have a fridge and a freezer. See the fridge there at the bottom. We put the ice maker in, we've got the sous vide machine up the top there, and then this really handy work surface which you can see is kitted out for long-term storage on the boat. So owners have used her across the south coast here, across the Channel Islands, running about 262 hours I think off the top of my head. Will increase slightly as they are down still using the boat while she's for sale. Everything matched in here beautifully with the factory black American walnut in the satin finish, so it really does look like it was built as part of the original fabric of the boat. If you wish to turn that back into a crew space, you would have a single bed in here. We could do that, but to be honest, for the majority of owners on boat this size, this is an absolutely perfect scenario. As is with all the other 52s, this is a lift up locker here. On the starboard side, you've got space in there for storing a sea bob if you wish, and of course the shower system in the back. Plug in here for the electric lead, as you can see here, and we've got dockside water support, a secondary pull-out shower handset there, and of course the passerelle letterbox style there, controlled off the panel. Battery switches, as with all Sunseekers, nice and easy to access, rocker switches in there. We have the controls for the platform, and then coming up in the cockpit, say as part of that Platinum Med Pack, we have the stern docking winches and these handy little bins for tailing off the lines. Just show you now how the additional handrails work here. So we've got both high and low level there. It does make it feel very safe. Deck's wide enough here. We are walking down forward, foot over foot, and you can see really nice deep rails. These are right up to your waist height here, and then you've got these sort of quite high bulwarks beneath, so it does give you very sure-footed feeling as you walk round. They elected not to go for teak out here. Boats in the UK, often this goes green and horrible quite quickly. We could retrofit that, or we could even put a synthetic deck in if you wished, but it is very clean and clinical and easy to maintain as you see it here. Full protective covers package with the boat, so when not in use, this is all covered over, saves having to keep the cushions inside. And as we are here, just looking up on the bow, you can see this huge seating area. Table drops down, there's a fill-in cushion to go in this centre section, and then these two cushions here actually do lift up to give you somewhere to sit out and read a book and what have you. AV zones throughout, so we've got some speakers up here. There's loads of upgrades we'll have a look at inside when we go back and start the tour in a bit more depth. Again, lots of custom changes on that side for the owners. Just coming back down the other deck here, so you can see mirror image of the starboard side. Little additional handles on the back there to make access easier up from the platform. So we have the standard U-shaped seating area here with the opening leaves here to give you space for dining, or a smaller table is a bit more of a coffee style setup. And then over this side we have the two seats at what is then the transforming bar. So you can see at the moment we have one of the patio doors folded back, and we have a single access space here, and then the window is currently in situ. At the push of a button here, we now drop the window down. Nice quick process on this one. We flip the top over and we now have a bar set up. As you can see, it does allow you then converse with the galley area and then forward into the saloon. Over on this side, a couple of little clips on the door here. This spins round, clip that into place like so, and now you totally transform the boat into a very social one singular zone, both for your AV and conversing with your guests on board. So it works really nicely. Obviously you've got canopy arrangement. You can see the track up the top here that encloses this to make it all one area. You can heat it or cool it using the aircon system, or should you wish, shut all of this up and then you can be inside. Engines and all the noise is effectively outside of the patio doors here. And then if you're doing a long distance cross channel or what have you, you're much more insulated from the noise. So we're going to have a look around the inside in a bit. We're just going to get the boat started up, underway, and we'll give you a chance to see what she's like on the open water. So in terms of startup, I've already turned the battery switches on in that aft cupboard. We run Volvo's D11 725 horsepower engines in this one, and as is pretty standard on Volvo engines these days, we have just the little fob to swipe over the panel here. That will bring the immobiliser system into life. You'll hear the beep, the lights are here, we check our throttles are into neutral, and the engines will fire straight into life. You can see the hours here say 262 a piece. We'll creep up slightly. And I'm just scanning around here so you've got a chance to take in all the various bits of navigation kit that we have on offer. So Simrad Premium Pack, which was two 12-inch NSS Evo 3 displays here. We've got multi-function displays up here either side. Got the proportional bow and stern thruster controls there. This is the Seakeeper gyro panel, trim tabs, the remote control. This is a dockmate. You see on some of the other videos the dockmate twist with the remote control joystick there. Really easy, simple docking. And we've got a DSC VHF throttles, tilt steering wheel, of course, with the lovely centered Sunseeker logo there, the autopilot, and then our little mini CM8 display showing tanks and what have you. 2,200 litres of fuel these carry, 600 litres of water. As you can see, we're running almost a full tank of fuel today. We've got an anchor chain counter here as well, and I'll just sit at the helm. We will be doing our driving outside today as it is quite warm down here. I'll just spin around. You're absolutely in my eye line here. We have a great panoramic visibility here through that windscreen and then through the big glass windows on the side here. And if you were to bring her in from the lower position in not such nice weather, we do even have some cameras on the stern and on the starboard side which we can have a look at as well. So now we're running, we're just going to head up to the Flybridge helm, grab some kit off the dock, and we'll be away. Okay, let's head on up to the Flybridge and get underway. We'll do a little bit more of a look round up here in just a sec. Just check in with Stu there to make sure we're happy. Just activated the throttles up here. Check our thrusters are working as well.
This is Southern Coast Guard. Question, are you hearing the open carrier on channel 137?
Pull him down on the radio and we'll be away. So a little bit of nose wind, as you can see up there on the bows. Tide pretty slack at the moment. So we're just going to literally take her straight off the mooring and then we'll tease her around to the right and off we'll go. You see, obviously from a visibility point of view from the helm here, I can see all the way down the back. Just can lift the cushion up here, gives me a bit more working deck space here. Just use a little bit of thruster there to keep the nose in. Stu just gets that stern line sorted and we'll be away. Nice thing, obviously you can see all the way down the side here, and as you can see on the rudder angle indicator here, that just shows where the wheel's facing. We're just going to walk the boat out bit by bit on the throttles. Obviously quite busy this time of year with paddle boards and canoes and lots of other people out having fun on the water, so it's important as we leave the dock here just to make sure we don't surprise anybody as we come around the corner. But what we shall do is just get clear of the mooring and then we shall spin through. See the wind now a little bit more on the 45 here, so I'm just going to put one ahead, one astern there. You can see we're clear of the boat behind. We're just going to bring it round, a little bit of power on that starboard engine just to kick the boat round. And we can get underway. You'll hear it beeping just as I'm putting the engines in and out of gear, obviously just giving all these guys in their canoes a chance to move over to the sides of the main channel, and we'll be away. So in terms of nav kit up here, we've got the two repeated 12-inch NSS Evo displays as we saw downstairs. We've got the multi-function gauges either side, engine telemetry on these two, a repeater of the CM8 autopilot, and a bank of switches here for things like the lighting, underwater lights, deck lighting, bilge pumps, anchor winch control and what have you. VHF, you heard, just powered up there, and obviously we've used the thrusters already, but they have, as with all of the Sunseekers these days, the proportional control there, so we can tease just a little bit of thruster on as required. We have our hydraulic trim tab system here, so no indicators on a Sunseeker for that, all done by feel. And then down here we have a retrofit of a quick anchor chain counter for the single anchor winch up forward. Again, the wheels are tilt design here. I'm currently driving it a bit more feeling like a bus, if you like, with it in quite an upright position. And we do have the optional teak decking up here on the Flybridge to just finish the boat off. These are cavernous up top. For owners that run these as charter boats, and we have had several here in the UK over the last couple of years, they will code for 12+2 crew, and it is quite easy to seat 12 people up top here. So I'm just flicking the camera around so you can see what space we've got to work with. Over opposite the helm there is this lovely big U-shaped seating area. There was the option from the factory table in here, but to be honest I prefer it open as it is, and then you can always have a freestanding little teak table there for coffees as required. Loads of storage space under all these cushions. We've got the things like the canopies, storage covers for all the seating and what have you, so we don't have to put all of these cushions away when we come back in port. That's quite important if you're in the UK, as it does mean that you can You can use the boat out of season and you haven't got to have all the cabins full up with cushions. Nice little touch on the top of the dash here. This is a pull-up acrylic screen that gives you just the ability for a bit of wind protection as required. Low level LED deck lighting here. It's also got, as you look down the sides here, little stainless steel white lights there as well. It's lit up like a Christmas tree at light. Really cool looking. The lighting on the back for the name actually is RGB color changing, so I say the power system will stay there for that in the future. Helm and co-pilot seats here. You can see I'm sat here just using it as a lift up bolster, but you can obviously drop that down and then you sit much more down behind the helm here to give you a little bit more wind protection. And then scanning around behind us, we do have the big centerline U-shaped seating area there. Again, storage underneath. We've got space for a life raft over on this side. We've got the full bimini setup here, which again was a retro on this particular boat. Does give great sun protection, very easy to stow away. And then up the top you can see the 64 nautical mile open array Simrad Halo Pulse radar system there. We've got antennas for the PepWave, which is a 4G router system we put on the boat, and all the GPS TV aerials up top in the middle. Griddle system itself in here we'll have a look at in a sec, but that's a full wet bar package as you'd expect on a boat of this sort of size. So as with all our Seatrials out of Swanwick, we've got about 25 minutes this evening running down at slow speed. Gives the chance for the engines to warm up. I've turned the generator on, so that gives the gyro an opportunity to spin up to speed as well. So we try and show you that, how it works this evening. Once you've run a boat of this sort of size with a gyro system, which is a stabilizer for those of you who don't know the nautical terms, that basically reduces the roll on the boat from side to side. It doesn't eliminate it altogether, but it does make it much less uncomfortable for those that suffer from the dreaded seasickness bug. And it on a motorboat, the side to side, certainly on a tall flybridge boat of this sort of design, it does really make life a lot easier at low speed running and at anchor. So we're going to leave it there, just do a swap over. Stu's getting the ropes and fenders in, stowed away. He'll take over on the helm, and then I shall carry on the tour with you in a bit more detail.
Thank you. Question is,
Okay, here we are, bottom of the Hamble River. We just turned right up into Southampton water. You can see the Hamble lifeboat there, just doing a training drill. So we're going to open the boat up now and give you a chance to see what she's like underway. Now we're not going to throw her around too much, as she is full of some very nice expensive crockery in all the cupboards, what have you, downstairs. But these are pretty effortless up and out of the water. As you see here, the speed climbing quite quickly here on the plotter as we approach 20 knots. Cruising speed on one of these is generally around 22 to 24 knots. A little bit of tide running this way with us this evening. The boat reasonably fresh underneath, as we said earlier, having not long been back into the water. Just checking around things like temperatures and pressures. We can see everything's nicely balanced in here, carrying a lot of fuel on board. Say range on a boat like this typically around 250 nautical miles at the 22 knot speed. We've got a radar running on here. We'll just come in so you can see on the rings here 2, 4, 6 nautical miles ahead of us. You can see the defined channel up here. You can see very quick redraw here on the Navionics cartography. The river we've just come down, and then here we are running up Southampton water. So we'll just give it a little bit more on the speed. They do run quite nose altitude up on these 52s, but that tends to naturally drop down as we get going. And you can see here now on the autopilot, if we just put that into auto, the boat will now lock into a heading, and we don't then need to worry about steering. We'll use a fluxgate compass there to hold the heading and add a little bit of rudder as required. We could even plot a route onto here, what have you, if you're doing a more long distance passage, but for us this evening it just allows us to concentrate a bit more on what we're doing, talking to you as we take her along. So we can just have a look behind now. You can see very nice clean wake. If I just disengage the autopilot there, this is per engine here, so running about 240 litres an hour here, 22 knots. Just check behind us, nothing's coming, and we'll do a nice gentle turn here over to port. So not going to put the boat right into a hard turn, as we don't want to damage anything inside, but they are graceful through the water, weighing in around 35 tonnes all up. Very, very easy to drive. A little bit more power there if we wanted to increase the speed, but this is a very nice sedate cruise speed, and we could be in France in around 4 hours time from now. So we're just going to bring it back, get the drone out, join us back in a bit. We'll show you what she's like up and running. Okay, here we are, around a minute's worth of running here of the boat, just a chance to see her from a few different angles. We're up on the plane running around 20 knots. We just had a look down the side there, nice view from the top of a bird's eye, running very clean wake there either side. We've got a little bit of trim tab on the nose here. They do run very nicely at that sort of 20 to 24 knot speed. Very graceful through the water. Stabilizer at this speed is not doing anything. It's very much for slow speed running or at anchor. It's a 0 speed system, the gyro. And to finish off here, we're just putting the boat into a turn. You can see it banking over nicely there. We lose a couple of knots in the turn on a larger Flybridge yacht like this, but graceful through the water, very easy to drive, and a beautiful Sunseeker signature look there with those windows. So on these last couple of Seatrial videos, I've been quite enjoying taking you on a tour around some of the other areas of the boat when it's up and running. Rare to see this sort of thing generally as we're sat at the helm, or maybe we're sat at a saloon. Just gives you a chance to kind of get a feel for what the boat would be like from different areas. Obviously one of the premium spots on the boat is up here on the nose, and there is a real nice seating area here to enjoy with family and friends, whether you're running at speed as we are now or back up tick over. What a glorious evening. Just thought I had to come and share this with you. So we're just running back about 20 knots. Sun starting to set over there, over the industrial part of Southampton. Just demonstrating, obviously you can walk around and have a conversation with you here, running along flat out. I mean, look at that cracking wake shot behind. Effortless through the water these. Still not too noisy. We can have a conversation here. You'll see the boat start to slow down in just a sec. Just scan around. We've got a few things put away whilst we've been out running, but just had everything dressed. Hope you enjoyed having a look around with us with the drone from the outside as well. Come back up top here as we slow down here towards the bottom of the river, where we've got our run back in to her home marina. So we questioned earlier what we had up top here. So there's the obligatory griddle sink under this one, and then a handy top loading pool box there with an insulated lid. Obviously all that additional refrigeration and the ice maker down in the wet bar behind. And then you can see custom glassware. So there are some things on here which the owners will discuss with a potential new owner as part of the negotiation phase, whether things like this will stay. They're quite happy to take it with them to the new boat, as it's all custom bespoke to the glassware and crockery and what have you they've got on the boat. Lots of artwork inside, which we'll have a look at in just a bit. I say all open for negotiation when the right buyer is found for her. So we're just slowing down just to make our turn round into the river, so we'll continue our look around inside. So we obviously mentioned earlier we've got this bar arrangement with the door, so it allows you to open the boat right up. So we walk into the galley kitchen area here at the back end. So we have a fridge, freezer, separate compartments in here. There's an electrical panel up top there, and then various appliances with a glass fronted wine fridge there, 20 bottle cooler, the ice maker. There's an AV system here, so we've got a PS4 unit, again by discussion with the owner. We've got the TV up there in a pop-up bracket, and you can see the Sonos soundbar that was put up top there. There's an amplifier in that as well, so really, really cool AV system. And there's some very, very bespoke lighting in here. These are generally only seen on large yachts, things like the 86, 88, 90 Oceans and what have you, but we have some beautiful Porta Romana Wall lighting here, again, say the owner is up for discussion with those, or they can come off the boat perhaps for a new owner to do something different. A few things stowed in the sink here, glorious. Call this the golden hour on the water, really. Best time of day to get photos. But we've got all the usual attributes that you'd see here. There is a microwave oven, a 4-burner ceramic top. This was a retro that we did. It's actually blended in quite nicely with the wood now, but we put a dishwasher in. See a very slight different discrepancy of the lighter woods on the door there, as that's basically weathering in really nicely, that panel. And like another season or so, I reckon you'd never know. The standard Sunseeker glassware, Dartington crystal in there, and then just opening all of this a little bit gingerly, say having just been for a run, we have all the obligatory paraphernalia you'd see in a galley. Plenty of worktop storage, as you can see here. We're on UK 3-pin sockets with powers there. We've got a little handy storage bin in the corner there, smeg sink. It's all really nice kit. Up on the port side there, that's another CM8 control panel, that one doing things like the generator, and then we've got some high level cupboards there as well for storage. It flows really nicely, got 2 little steps up, a couple of little ceiling changes here. You'll notice the LED lighting, it's all dimmable, both the spots and the feature strips. They run all the way through here into the aft cockpit. Really gives the boat a sense of blending all these zones into one, but it's dimmable to get a really nice mood in here in the evening. And you can see with this evening sunshine just how much natural light comes in through these monster glass windows in the sides. So we step up and we have then the lounge or saloon area, as we call it. So there's a starboard side linear sofa here. Helm seat flips up, which we'll demonstrate in a sec. And over on this side you have the main U-shaped social seating space. Lots of soft fabrics, no leathers in this particular one, as the owners opted for a much more sort of homely feel. Very, very nicely dressed. And as you can see, the wood, having always been in the UK, has not been damaged in the sunshine like you might see on a boat down in the southern Mediterranean. As we mentioned earlier, it's black American walnut satin finish. It's still a current wood, one of the most popular that we fit, and it is beautifully appointed. So we just push the little button here and you'll now see the helm seat lift forward. Obviously, Flybridge boat, the inside driving positions is often not used, and it can be just defunct space. But on one of these, this was a very clever feature Sunseeker introduced to give a little bit more seating area here as required. So you instantly gain, throw a couple of these scatter cushions around just to give you a bit of a feel of how that works. You suddenly get this big social seating area. We've got room for everybody here to see the TV and enjoy that vista out in the evenings, perhaps if you're at anchor, and you don't need to use the lower helm. You could even run the boat, as we have done this evening, as I've been shooting photos going round. You could leave that lower helm tucked away. In emergencies, it takes seconds to put it back into an operational part of the boat. So coming forward, up here on the port side, big deep storage bins. These will take your charts, and as you can see there, we've got all the electronic instrumentation covers and what have you. We just drop these cushions back down and I can demonstrate again to you what we've got at the helm. Nice simple solution here. They opted from build to go with the dual helm and co-pilot seats rather than the bench. Just does allow you to have somebody sat here assisting with nav when you're underway. We've got an opening side window here. It's quite handy if you do like to dock from inside. It does give you that extra visibility down the starboard deck. And we obviously covered all this kit earlier on, so I'm not going to go into this in too much more detail. We didn't run the gyro this evening. It's powered up. You can see it's nicely up to speed there, but not required. As you can see, obviously the water service out there is pretty impeccable. So let's head on down and take a look around the cabins. 3 really good cabins on these. Works really nice as a family or if you've got guests on board. So we come down the companionway into this central lobby area, and then we have cabin number 2 on the boat. So this is a VIP guest cabin forward. Tucked up in the nose of the boat, you see using full volume of the cabin either side of the hull windows here we saw earlier on the pontoon. And we have great storage, I say little bits and pieces of the owners on board, but she has been pretty much stripped off now, ready for sail. Cupboards running underneath the side decks here. We've got opening port light up top, as well as a mosquito and a blackout blind up there, and then the blinds on the sides as well. Centerline double bed, it's a 1.5 metre wide, nice good sized double there, and things like the aircon panel here for reverse cycle for both the heating and cooling. 43-inch TV Samsung unit up on the wall there, and then we've got a nice little corner dressing table with some cupboard space here above. Of course, all the TVs are linked up. We've got DVDs and what have you in all the cabins. This is a Jack and Jill arrangement, this one, so the cabin does have a direct access into the second heads on the boat. This one obviously shared as the day head, and also for the third cabin we'll have a look at just a sec. Glorious sunshine coming through the blinds there. So we've got storage behind the mirrors here, good size hand basin, Tecma VacuFlush electric freshwater toilet system, and then these nice synthetic stone panels on the floor and also into the shower itself. There's a rain shower up top there, as well as a secondary handset, optional on lots of other manufacturers but standard on all of our boats. Really does make life on board that little bit more creature comforts like home. Say 600 litres of fresh water on one of these. So back into the companionway, we come across the hallway. This is now the starboard side of the boat looking aft, and we have two singles. This would typically on a third cabin have been bunk beds, but we've managed to get them in side by side here. Nice flat floor through the middle, little bedside table there. We've got some storage up top, and again a decent size wardrobe in that side, as well as a little 22-inch TV up there, and again a remote zone for an aircon system. Beds don't do anything funky like sliding together or infills. It is very much set up as it's configured. You can see beautiful artwork up there on the wall, say by discussion with the owner if it takes your fancy. Coming round the stairs here, we go down a couple of steps. We're going into the bows of the boat now, gaining as much headroom as we can. Before we go into the cabin itself, we'll just cover off here into the heads compartment. So this is the owner's ensuite, if you like. Much the same appointment as we saw in that forward. I have to excuse the bits in the sink, I say, just from where we've been running, but the boat is beautiful throughout. So we come down a couple of steps here. We have the wardrobe tucked down behind the door there, and then I'll just spin round slowly to show you this fantastic master stateroom. And it really is big. I mean, this is what you would see in a 70-foot Sunseeker from 10 years ago. It really has moved on in terms of the inclusion of the deck above us, and also nice flat floor around here does give a real bright feeling of space in here. Nice big centerline double bed. I have to excuse a little bit of engine noise. It is actually really quiet in here, but my camera mic is very, very sensitive. So we've got the 2 seats and the breakfast table, which is the standard option on these boats. Work really nicely. There were a couple of other configurations with storage and what have you, but most boats opted for what you see here. We have, of course, the blinds, and then scanning round to the other side, you can see the standard storage sideboard unit there with drawers and cupboards, lots of mirrors, very clever use to make the boat feel as open as possible. Again, see beautiful lighting and what have you. These are just removable table lamps on here, and a 40-inch TV there up on the bulkhead. See, the boat really does look boat show condition. I'm just scanning around so you can see things like the carpets, kept impeccably. They are very, very careful with the boat, generally going out with a skipper, and only very lightly slept on, tend to come down and use as the day boat. And it's easy to see just how little use this has had really since she was new. So we've got our usual run back now. Going to get back in, tie up. We'll have a quick look down in the engine room just to finish off, and we'll be done. Right, so we're back into Swanwick here. Home berth just ahead of us. Say, by negotiation, this available going forward, and it is one of the premium 22-metre finger moorings here on the river. Very nice spot. So we just powered up the throttle, sorry, the thruster controls here. We've got the throttle's just doing everything here nice and slow. I'm literally just spinning the boat around here. Little bit of tide coming in, but these guys are having fun over here. That's what it's all about on the water here this time of night. So we're just going to spin it round not using the steering here, so we're just going to put that back into the centered position, and we'll be doing everything on our throttle and thruster controls. So we're just going to engage now into astern. A little bit of bow thruster just to bring my nose over, and we can back down onto the berth. Nice thing, as we saw earlier, we've got that viz all the way down to the bathing platform here, so we can see what's going on. And you can see exactly what I'm seeing here down the side. And we'll just drift it back like that. Nice ferry glide. And then we can bring the stern in right at the last minute. Just nudging that one temporarily ahead, that one stern, and you can see now that's brought the stern onto the dock. And you'll see Stu step off just a sec. There he goes. Get that line where he wants it, and then as we've seen on many of the videos, I say we can just engage a little bit of single click thrust there, and it's now pinning the boat against the dock here. You can see both the stern thruster and the bow thruster engaged to hold her there alongside the dock whilst the lines get sorted out. Obviously we get everything set up before we arrive back on the mooring, hence why he's able to step off as he did. Just get the line set up on the pontoon, and I'm just knocking the engines momentarily into gear, and that just keeps that stern line nice and tight there while we get the bow tined off, and we'll set the springs up, and that will be us done. So we can now turn the engines off. We obviously got the ability to do that up top or downstairs, and we can turn the thrusters off, and that's us done. Now there is a thermostat on the engine fans down in the depths of the boat here as everything cools down, so it's going to be quite noisy down here. We are just going to turn the gyro and the generator off so you can show you how that works. So we power first gyro off on that panel. Back here to the CM8 monitoring panel, we find the AC system page there. Stop the generator. You can see we've got just over 534 hours running on there. It will be quite noisy, so I may have to cut the sound off this bit. Let's see what the camera mic is like. Down below. So nice easy ladder to gain access to the engine space. We've got a light switch here, really nicely lit these. And we're on a straight shaft configuration, so that means the engine's here, gearbox is behind, and then we run straight out through the back of the boat. Mixture of models on the Sunseekers between these and the V drives. Outboard wing station aluminium fuel tanks, and you can see all things like the filters, easy to get to there. Fire suppression system up the top there. We've got fire flaps on the air intakes, and then the bank of all of the labelled 240 and 24 volt systems up on the forward bulkhead there. Nice little touches, things like the plug socket in here for heaters in the winter, or you can see they've got a Hoover on charger here at the moment. This is the Seakeeper gyro system, so it's centered down in the middle of the boat, weighs about 300 kilos, and then the generator is moved up and outboard over the standard position in order to fit that. Over this side we've got the hot water tank, we've got battery charging system over there, see some storage underneath the generator, little pop-out hose there for washdowns, and then through this side there are all the hydraulic systems for things like the passerelle and the bathing platform and what have you. A couple of directors' chairs stored in here, say again, something the owner will be taking off with them, I'm sure. Open for a sensible discussion if you want the boat literally able to turn the keys and go and use her. Now she is on British registry, which can be kept, I'll say, just with a name change going forward if you so wish. And there you have it. So I say fully spec'd up this one, very, very little, if anything, you could add, other than perhaps a tender and some safety equipment, depending on what you can negotiate with these guys to take with them to their new boat or leave on board for you to use here in Swanwick or perhaps somewhere else here on the south coast. Talk to us if you want to know more. The contact details always, it's james@sunseekersouthampton.com or the mobiles +44 7747 686 587. Hope you've enjoyed running out with us this evening and we look forward to hearing from you soon.